Hello and welcome to Recyclist. It's April 28th, 2025. I'm your host, Eric Provost, and this is your weekly roundup of all the biggest news stories in the world of waste, gas, and energy presented by Diamond Scientific. First things first, and as always, let's take a quick look at the stock market and 5 stocks on the move this past week from the world of waste, gas, and energy. Going into this past weekend, Evergy Incorporated was sitting at $67.88 per share. Clean Energy Fuels Corp had dropped to $1.48 per share. Opal Fuels Incorporated is now sitting at $1.74 per share. NextEra Energy now at $66.09 per share. And Black Hills Corp also dropping to $52.94 per share. But moving into the news, first up, Trillium Energy Solutions, part of the Love's family of companies, completed its acquisition of U.S. Energy's compressed natural gas dispensing network this past week, although the terms of the deal were not disclosed. The network includes a mix of public and private fueling stations, including 41 stations across 15 states in the U.S. and 3 stations in Canada. Ryan Erickson, the vice president of Trillium, said, quote, "This network expansion reinforces Trillium's and Love's commitment to providing every fuel type our customer needs. We have recently seen an increased interest in compressed natural gas as a clean alternative fuel from both our private sector fleet and trucking customers. Adding these stations grows our network quite significantly, which unlocks more value and access for customers." End quote. And up next, moving to Japan for just a moment, JERA, Japan's biggest buyer of liquefied natural gas, and Seibu Gas Holdings recently announced they will collaborate on the use of the Hibiki LNG terminal to improve domestic fuel procurement and develop their global business. Seibu Gas, a city gas provider based in Japan's southern island of Kyushu, decided last November to expand capacity at the terminal, including through the construction of a third LNG storage tank with a capacity of 230,000 kiloliters. Under the agreement, JERA, Japan's biggest power generator, will be allowed access to the new tank, improving its flexibility to respond to more volatile supply and demand caused by the increased use of renewable energy and by seasonal fluctuations in consumption. And now moving over to wastewater for just a second, Georgetown, Texas recently announced that they plan to spend approximately $1.9 billion over the next 5 years, replacing and relocating water lines, upgrading lift stations, building new treatment plants, and finishing ongoing projects to expand water and wastewater services. Proposed water and wastewater projects for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 alone could reach $483.1 million, and other future expenses will go toward operations, designing and constructing new plants, and replacing old infrastructure. While admitting that it is costly, City Manager David Morgan said the projects will have a large impact over the next several decades on the city's water and wastewater systems. And staying with wastewater, a new test capable of detecting respiratory pathogens in wastewater will soon be available. The Watchfire Respiratory Panel from pharmaceutical company bioMérieux, a polymerase chain reaction test targeting 22 pathogens, will be able to deliver real-time data on viruses and bacteria in wastewater samples, according to a company press release. Jennifer Zinn, the executive vice president of clinical operations at the company, said, quote, "Watchfire provides efficient, close-to-the-source testing of multiple pathogens from a single sample in about 1 hour with limited hands-on time. Featuring real-time analysis for valuable insights, this scalable solution empowers public health authorities to quickly identify wastewater pathogen trends." End quote. And just a quick reminder, Recyclist is a registered trademark of Diamond Scientific, an industry leader in gas analysis, instrumentation, and solutions. Make sure to check them out online at diamondsci.com. That's diamondsci.com. Or you can even set up a personalized presentation just by calling 321-223-7500. Now on with the news. And up next, Cowboy Clean Fuels, a company specializing in renewable energy and carbon removal technologies, recently announced the completion and release of its new biomass carbon removal and storage plus renewable natural gas methodology. This new framework establishes a rigorous approach for measuring, monitoring, reporting, and verifying a novel form of carbon removal, which combines biogenic methane production with permanent CO2 sequestration in geologic formations utilizing legacy energy infrastructure. The new methodology introduces a verifiable pathway to high-integrity carbon removal crediting, ensuring that carbon removal projects meet the highest industry standards. And up next, a very welcome message for the industry, as this past week during an earnings call, Waste Connections CEO Ron Mittelstadt highlighted a quote-unquote better-than-expected Q1 despite recent tariff uncertainty within the country. Throughout the call, Mittelstadt cited the quote-unquote outsized levels of acquisition activity, noting annualized revenues so far this year of over $125 million. That includes the acquisition of a recycling facility in New Jersey, which Mittelstadt said is important to support growth in the Northeast, especially for its commercial waste collection contracts in New York City. Mittelstadt said more solid waste deals are in the works in all its operating regions in the U.S. and Canada, and they are a mix of tuck-ins, standalones, and franchise deals. And certainly not to be confused with Waste Connections, Waste Management marked Earth Day this past week with a ribbon cutting on its new $60 million renewable natural gas facility in DeKalb. Brian Snyder, the Director of Operations at Waste Management Renewable Energy, said it's an exciting time for the waste hauling company, saying, quote, "The exciting thing about this whole situation is that the collection truck goes out and collects the trash from each person's home. It comes to the landfill and it turns into a gas through natural breakdown. And to make sure that we stay compliant and do the best thing for the community, we capture that gas and turn it into an energy of some sort." End quote. And lastly, following on from our story last week about Montauk Renewables, the company's subsidiary, Tulsa LFG LLC, has recently broken ground on the renewable natural gas landfill project in Tulsa, Oklahoma. Like we said, the project is accompanied by an extension of its existing gas rights and lease agreement with the landfill host, American Environmental Landfill Incorporated. With a variable inlet capacity design, the new RNG facility is anticipated to have a production nameplate capacity averaging approximately 1,500 British thermal units per day. Montauk expects its project capital investment to range between $25 million US and $35 million and has a targeted commissioning date in the first quarter of 2027. And that'll do it for your April 28th, 2025 news roundup, brought to you by Recyclist. Again, a registered trademark of Diamond Scientific. I've been your host, Eric Provost, and I will see you back here next week for another brand new episode of Recyclist. Thank you.